Good morning, hockey fans. This is Steven Heisler with HeisHockey.com and Victoria's Hockey Company with your junior hockey morning show. We are live with John Bowkus at the Peggy's Diner in Edgewater, Florida. This is our first ever show on the road. We're going to try this out. John, what do you think?
Well, I'm glad you're here. Last time I did this, it was like 6:30 in the morning or something, 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, you were in Texas. I think you're
El Paso.
El Paso, early in the morning. So we're a little bit later. Had breakfast here with your wife. I don't know who made the food. It wasn't you, I guess, because you were out.
Not me. I do everything else around here besides cook.
I walked in this morning, and the first thing John's wife says is, "John, go to the store and get milk and cabbage," which is so unusual. I don't see any cabbage on the breakfast menu. Thank God. It's more like a German Polish thing, I think. I don't know where cabbage comes from. Coleslaw. All right, we got that going on.
Homemade coleslaw.
Supposed to have Eric Bauer on the show this morning. That was the plan for the whole week. We had planned to come see John anyway today. Eric had a coach get sick. He's Jackson Hole, so he's on the ice with 30 Pee Wee players. That should keep him occupied for the next 90 minutes, I think.
Exactly.
How do you go from coaching a team at a high level, North American Hockey League, high level, AAA level, and then go coach 30 recreational Pee Wee players?
Well, he's a hockey director, and that's what hockey directors do. I did that many years in Michigan, so
got to fill in the blanks.
Yeah, fill it in for him. So.
And during our shows all week long, you can hear the pucks banging off the boards. It was awesome, very authentic. So Eric, I know that he called in his picks today, so we know what he's going to do. He's going to copy me. He's 2 games behind me now, so we're going to be fine. So let's get into what happened yesterday. We'll kind of run down some of the North American Hockey League scores first, I think, and then we'll get into what happened. So yesterday in Minot Monotoro's got past Bobcats from Bismarck 4-3, and Shreveport really did a number on Corpus Christi 7-3. And tonight's games, Danbury at Maine. I'm not a big Danbury fan. Not a big Maine fan either, really. So I don't care. Kenai at the Wendigo. That's got to be the craziest hockey name ever, the Wendigo. I still can't figure it out. North Iowa and Austin, St. Cloud at Aberdeen. That'll be a big fight tonight. Hopefully not a fight. It's a good game. Northeast Generals at Johnstown. Anchorage at Janesville. Shreveport at Corpus again. And New Mexico at Amarillo. Very interesting night for hockey. You know, like you're here in Florida. When do you go back to Atlanta?
I leave on the 1st. We have practice on the 2nd and get ready to go to Texas on the 5th. So it's not a lot of time, but we'll just get things going.
Very good. So World Junior Championships continue yesterday, putting a full slate of games on Thursday without a lot of fireworks. In Moncton, Finland beat Latvia 3-0. The game puts both Finland and Switzerland into the quarterfinals. Latvia will need a win over Slovakia today to keep their quarterfinal hopes alive. Very good game yesterday for Latvia. For Finland against Latvia. That shutout win. You have to go back and look at what Latvia has done. Carlos Zernis is on the bench with that team. We know Carlos. Really good coach. What do you think Latvia's chances are now?
I don't know if they're good enough. I just think that the power that they play. Who do they play? Switzerland tomorrow, right? Is that what it is? Or no, they play Slovakia.
Yeah, tonight they play against Latvia. Play Slovakia tonight.
Yeah, Slovakia's been pretty good. I like the way they've been playing. I haven't watched a lot of it, but they just seem to have a little bit more skill level with their team right now.
Absolutely. So, Ludwig Jansen scored at 1:35 overtime to keep Sweden's 3-2 win over Czechia. That was a big game yesterday. Both teams went into 3-0. You have to appreciate where they are. It looks like Sweden's a better team after that game, but that game was back and forth all day.
Oh, yeah, it definitely was. You know, what I like is the Czechia. How do you say that? Czechia. I think it's Czechia.
I get confused. I went to the Czech Republic, the Czechoslovakia.
I like the way they played. They kind of, when they beat Canada there, they were just on their toes, and I thought they sat back a little bit. So we'll see what happens in the next game.
After Sweden barely got past Germany, I thought
Could be
I stuck with Sweden and Bauer took the Czechs, so I edged out that win yesterday. So very happy with that. The U.S. put on a skills camp while beating Switzerland 5-1, keeping hopes of finishing first in the Group B intact. The Americans are very talented, and that top line just killed them yesterday.
I think a lot of it has to do with the development program that they have. Everybody says bad things about it, but I just think it's one of those things that the kids get to at least know each other a little bit more, even if they're different ages and stuff. We've got a 2-year window there where a lot of kids play together. So, I think you're seeing a lot of results from that. It shows in the past, but it all depends on how they're playing. You still got to play the game.
Absolutely. You watch Switzerland, a lot of those guys are coming together earlier. Do you think the U.S. is making a mistake by letting those kids go to college early? Should they be sticking around for this World Junior year every year?
Well, I don't think it's a matter of the college aspect of it. I think, if you look at our North American League, USHL and stuff, most of these kids don't go to college until they're 20 years old. So, if you're going right at 18 because you're getting drafted and things like that, all the better to you, but another year would hurt them.
Absolutely. You think if that team stayed together and played games at the minor league level, played more college teams, I think they'd be a much more competitive team. Correct. Kids want to get on with their lives. I get that. But you go to the national team development program, you get to go to college a little bit earlier than everybody else.
Yeah, and you know what? Most of these kids have been promised since they were 15 and already committed and everything else. So I guess 10. Legally or illegally, one of the two. So. But no, I think it's to their own preference. But in my opinion, I think they'd get a little bit more out of it if they stayed in the juniors.
Absolutely. I watched the last game last night. Connor Bedard. This kid is ridiculous. He's not even drafted eligible until this year, I think, right? So he's playing with all these other draft picks, and he's just slamming it out there. 11-0 shutout win over Austria. I really think that a North American 3 hockey team versus the Bismarck Bobcats might have fared better than what Austria did against Canada last night.
I wouldn't say that. Bismarck's actually pretty good. They're young, like anything else. So, I guess Granite City or something like that would be nice to see if they could get an opportunity to play. So that'd be kind of cool to see. But no, I think, like you said, the Connor Bedard is just unbelievable. He's unanimous number 1. Rumor has it he's going to do it Eric Lindros and kind of tell the team who drafts him, like, trade me now or I'll go play in Europe or something like that. But I'm hoping that doesn't happen. He's got a lot of upside. He's just so smart with puck. You watch him; he's 2 or 3 moves ahead of most of the kids that he's playing with right now. He's still 17. He's got to wear a visor.
I know.
Full cage, so he's not even 18 yet.
Oh, he's immensely talented, and watching him play yesterday, you see his vision. I get to focus on that game. Usually, I'm watching 3 or 4 games at a time in my job, but is able to focus on his game on the NHL Network yesterday, and it was amazing to watch him develop, watch him try to make plays that no one else is even thinking about. Just a very talented guy. Let's go through the standings real quick. Group A, Sweden is 3-0, 8 points. Czechia, or whatever you want to call it, 2-0-1, 7 points. Canada is 2-1 with 6 points. Germany and Australia are pointless both. So you look at this, there's 3 teams in that group that are really leading the way. And Germany plays well, I think. They've done well, but they haven't got a point yet. Nothing to show for their efforts. I think that changes. Finland in Group B is leading with 7 points. U.S. is right behind it with 6. Switzerland falls back a little bit to 4 points. Slovakia is 3 points, and Latvia has a point. So it makes today's games all that much more interesting. Slovakia versus Latvia. You know what? Slovakia enjoyed their day off after beating the Americans and got the opportunity to watch Latvia get shut out by Finland. Clearly, Slovakia is a better team on paper, but we all know you don't put a game on paper, do you?
Exactly. And like you said, the standings are important. Those 2 teams are going to decide who's in 4th place, more or less. Neither one has an opportunity to really catch Switzerland or anything. So now you're deciding which one's going to get relegated and which one's going to stay. So that's the big thing. Those games are important, especially for the countries that they're representing. They never want to see a team get relegated down to another level. So there's always a lot of pride on the line in those kind of games.
And that takes us to the second game of today. People probably won't be watching much of this. Germany is 0-2-0. Austria is 0-3-0. But like Slovakia, Germany got the day off yesterday to regroup and prepare for Austria. In 3 games so far in this event, Austria remains scoreless while giving up 31 goals.
Yep.
I think Germany is certainly the favorite in this game. They're probably the team that won't be relegated. I think Austria's kind of sealed their fate. But at the same time, you got to play the games.
Yeah, and like I said, Germany's not a bad team. We just got to see what happens. And again, neither team can move up. So I mean, again, it goes back to the relegation status and which team wants it more than the other.
Absolutely. So, getting World Juniors past us, let's talk about the North American 3 Hockey League and your experience so far. In your career, you've been a AAA coach. You get phone calls from the boss in the middle of the show.
Probably. I wouldn't doubt it.
And college coach, and now at the Tier 3 level. What's the biggest differences in levels of play?
Development patterns, the skill level. A lot of kids in the NA3 are actually pretty skilled. There's a lot of skill. Don't take it wrong. But at the AAA level, you've got a more condensed 18, 19 guys. When I was coaching, we didn't have 20 guys a lot of times. Usually took the best, 18, 19 and try to work it that way. What I see is kids that are playing AAA hockey are still getting development because they're still practicing, but they're not practicing every day, which is something that the North American League and the NA3 do. So I think there's a little bit of disconnect there, but the amount of games they play, the competition levels. You see in different divisions some of these teams that aren't putting forward a very good team. So like every time you go play a 3-game set against something, kids pick up bad habits. And it's hard. I mean, you see it at the AAA level, but like high performance hockey, we've got 6 or 7 teams in there that always play the same kids over and over again. And, it's not a bad thing. Everybody's going to get development that way. But for the NA3, I think the biggest thing right now with them is getting some recognition for what we're doing. We've had a lot of kids move up to the NA. We've had some kids commit to D3 schools and even some D1 schools after getting to the NA. But our big thing is I don't want to say a disconnect as well, but a lot of people just don't believe in the NA3. It's, even some of the coaches in the NA and other leagues, they badmouth it, and it's kind of disheartening because this being my second year, I actually had a full year to recruit, and we're doing a heck of a lot better. And I think the skill level that we recruited is phenomenal. And so it's just a matter of getting everybody on the same page within the league.
I hear coaches and directors. Keith Morris from Anchorage was on the phone earlier with us, and Keith was all praises about the players that you sent to him this year. Anthony O'Neill went to Anchorage. There's a lot of Anthony is a kid from Atlanta, so you really don't think kids like Anthony would make a presence known. But he went to Anchorage, showed very well. He's got some very dynamic offensive skills, and where do those come from, right? So this kid just really went up there and impressed and proved to the Anchorage staff that the 3HL is something to consider.
Yeah, well, then you're talking about non-hockey markets, and not to say that Atlanta's not a hockey market, but it's not. I mean, the highest level they have is AA. The AAA team that supposedly is there is actually a Nashville team that skates out of there. They do some of their high performance practices in different areas, either Nashville, I think it's Huntsville, and Atlanta. But a kid like Anthony has been fabulous. He's a great kid too. It's not like we're working with something that we can't kind of move into what we want to do. He's very talented. He's had a lot of support with Nick James, the 20-year-old from Canada, but he does a lot by himself, and you got to give him credit. He's the leading goal scorer in the league. I think 7 or 8 goals. So I mean, he's very dynamic, and I hope that next year he sticks. He's got to put on some weight. That's the biggest thing. But I hope he sticks next year with whoever picks him up. I'd love to see him in Alaska because he's an inner city kid who never saw snow really until he went up there for a skate. So his only comment to me is, I should have brought more jackets.
Very good results from his trip to Alaska. He did very well, and I think it brings to mind what we've been doing with Atlanta over the years. Is Atlanta is in probably most 3HL teams have proven to be a very good alternative to the high cost of AAA.
Yep, everybody says, we travel a lot. We do a lot of games, like 3 road games. Well, our division South does. Most of the other divisions, they play 2 games on a weekend. They still get their 4 or 5 days of practices, which is awesome. So the development purposes that you can get playing Tier 3 hockey is great. You're on the ice. We're on the ice 2 hours a day, pretty much every day. And, what's been nice is this year, kids want to be there. And it's fabulous. So, I mean, it all depends on the kids you're recruiting, which kids want to be there, the attitudes. Last year we were at a really bad losing record. And, there's some kids that didn't buy in. So, I mean, this year everybody's buying in. They're competing for positions. All the practices, we just make all the drills compete drills. And, when you're doing that, things are going to get better all the time. We're really happy in Atlanta how we're progressing with those kind of things. The other thing is movement. We're hoping to get a few more kids skating with some of the NA teams, and then the following week we go to Texas for 2 weeks. So there's some Texas teams that are probably going to call and say, hey, can we have this guy come out and skate with us so we can see what he looks like. We're happy with what we're doing, and like again, NA I want to say cost-wise is so more efficient than doing AAA. I mean, at AAA levels, you still have to go pay for you have to travel with your kid. Okay, you have to pay for your own hotel rooms, you have to pay for your own travel. Okay, and that doesn't include the cost that they're paying the coaches itself. So I mean, it's getting a little bit more pricey, and hockey is an expensive sport, but sooner or later it's got to get to that point where everybody's going to say nada.
Well, we're getting to that point now when the cost of participation is so high. And a lot of these AAA events, the kids are having to play 2 games in one day. Sometimes they'll play, 5 games over 3 days, and that's not really conducive for development. I don't know how you can teach a kid to leave it all on the ice and make them come back 4 hours later and do it again. I mean, it's just not effective.
Well, my whole thing with these showcases is just the same. Okay, you're playing games, but what is there on the line for it, really? Okay, you're trying to showcase yourself in front of scouts and things like that. But if there's not a medal at the end, sometimes kids can turn it off a little bit. They just play the game because they're playing the game, and you see that in a lot of the games where like the last showcase, the NA showcase, or NAP showcase in Blaine. I watch games, and kids are still making the same mistakes, and it's costing them games, and they're learning from that point, from the boys' standpoint. But I think it's more of a competitive tournament style games, okay, where you have a winner each weekend, whether however they want to do it. Maybe they do play less games and get them all over with. So you kind of get your top pyramid kids. That's kind of what it's all about. That's what life's about. You can't just hey, thanks for coming, thanks for playing. Really appreciate it.
You did great.
It's just, I guess I'm real old school with that stuff. I just think there's got to be something on the line for these kids to play sometimes, and it just can't be about skating anymore. There's got to be a compete level that puts them above everybody else, because that's what coaches want to see. Is they want to see the compete level of the kid. You ask any.
You have some younger players on the Atlanta roster. How do you feel about their prospects?
My defense are very, very good right now. The Austin McCauley kid, I'm hoping will make it a junior team next year. I got Robbie Aranis, 27. He's almost there. He's got to come out of his shell a little bit more. He's very offensive minded. McCauley, a perfect example of a AAA kid. Last year, his coach did not want him to skate the puck. Okay, what is the new game now for hockey?
Defense moving puck up the ice.
Defense going with the play, getting involved, stuff like that. He came here when I first got him. He kept making passes. Like, why aren't you going? Well, I was told never to go. So, no, that's not how we're doing it. You go. You go. Somebody else will come for you. Don't worry about it. Just go. Get involved in the play. And he's really developed that way. I mean, by far, He's one of our top DAs, and one of the top D in the league. He's young. I think he's an 03 as well, but he's a late 03, and I think I got high expectations for that one. Some of the younger kids, I've got a few 86s. I picked up a kid from
86.
Or sorry,
86 are really old. Those, are you dating 86?
They're grandpas now, I think. Maybe. I'm sorry. 06.
06 is 86, 06. Like 20 years ago.
I've been coaching for 32 years now.
That's right, Coach.
Got to keep the.
You had coffee this morning?
I don't have coffee anymore. Well, I do. I shouldn't say that. I started drinking it. But we've got a couple of 06s on the team, and their progress has been really good. One kid's from overseas, and one kid from South Carolina. But they're making progress, and the thing is they're playing with older kids. They're starting to get the development. They're starting to understand the process, which is fabulous. The older kid hasn't scored a goal yet, and he's so down on himself. It's like, you know what? Put grip and stick. You'll be fine. You're getting better all the time. You're starting to make plays. You're starting to see the ice. So, I just make sure that they're in a good place. You don't never want to put these kids in a position to fail. So that's one of the things that we do.
How many times have we seen rookies come into the league? It can be the North American League, the USHL, the Western Hockey League, or the 3HL. And their first half of the season, they have that problem. They're gripping too hard. They don't click until later on. If they're coming out of high school, they played their whole high school number of games before Christmas. And they're not used to playing that level or that amount of games. And they finally get their wheels under them probably in January of the season.
Well, that's what we're worried about too, though. Is, when you do take a lot of high school kids, they're so used to playing just that many games that sometimes the second part of the season might even be tougher for them because it's like, oh my gosh, it just keeps going. So, it's hard to say. Every kid's different, but I'm really happy with the progress that we're making. And I see it with other teams too. I feel sorry for Mike Beavis because he's actually got 20 kids this year.
Oh yeah, because he's got 20-year-olds, right?
Exactly, something like that.
Beavis, I know you don't have 20-year-olds, but it's a lot of.
I'm so happy. His team's doing so well. They play so well together, and it's just the system that they're running, the simple system, but they're doing it, and the older guys are really showing up and helping the younger guys develop. The reason I talk about them is they're owned by our same owner, Don Stone.
Kind of like your cousin.
Yeah, kissing sister.
Ooh, I wouldn't call Beavis something
I
like
wouldn't.
Kiss. He's not a pretty man. I mean, I know I'm not very handsome, and the Beavis makes me look good.
Yeah, you actually lucked out with your wife.
So my wife doesn't see very well. Well, she's Colombian and she can't see. And she has glasses are like the bottom of a Coke bottle, But Daisy, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. Your wife isn't bad either. She's just really small. You could dress her up as a 12-year-old for Halloween if you wanted to, Very good, very good. So, going into the second half of your season, what do you expect from your team, and what do you expect from the younger players on your team?
I expect the competitiveness to actually really take off this year. I'm picking up another defenseman. We've got the Porochenko kid that came in, so it's making it harder to get in the lineup. And it's going to be based. It's not. First part of the season was all development. Second part of the season is still development, but now we got to see which kids are actually coming to the premium crop, because those are the kids that you want to keep going with and try and help out as much as you can. We got some older kids that are going to college. We already know which kids are leaving, so that's fine. And you want to make sure that those kids are still having a great time, a great experience. But we also want to make playoffs, and it's my job's not on the line if I don't make it. But like I told the kids, this is something that we work for. Okay, you're not just playing games to play games. There's got to be something that
you become a coach for junior hockey. You have to do the developmental aspect. That's for sure during practice. The games are kind of the celebration of what happens all week in practice. But you also got to manage those minutes. And if you have a kid that is a prospect, he's earning the minutes, so be it. Your goalie's going to get his time, obviously. But the rest of your job is trying to manage minutes and for all these players you have. You're probably running 4 lines.
Most of the time we run 4 lines. We our 4th line guys usually average about 9-10 minutes a game, which is which is pretty good, realistically, because a lot of times you've got your power play and penalty kill, which takes a lot, especially nowadays with the way the refs call. Okay, and I'm not going to say anything bad about the refs because actually at the showcase, I thought they did a heck of a job at the Bloom showcase. We had some bad penalties, but I thought the refereeing was actually pretty good. And actually, even in the first game, we had a lady like that. Every time that there was something, she actually came over and talked for it instead of shied away. There's some guys that don't like coming to talk to me, so
It's kind of scary.
oh yeah, that's what it is.
That's what it is. And the last question for you today, and this is kind of good. So, over the course of your career, these young men have changed so much. So, how do you be a coach from the '80s, coaching kids in the '20s now?
Here's a perfect example. I've already had three. Well, that's more than that. Probably out of my first batch of kids that I've coached, probably 18 will have kids now.
Oh yeah, I got a lot of kids.
And this is just out of the first batch, 1980 group and stuff like that. And they're 79, 80, and they're calling me saying, "Hey, we hope that you're still coaching when my kid's able to play."
Great news. Thanks a lot.
No, it's not. I hope my knees and shoulders and everything else work right. But no, it's what's nice about coaching is the kids who really believe in what you do stay in touch. The kids that just, think of it as a stepping stone, those guys don't stay in touch. So it's kind of neat. I'm actually going to Ryan Miller. His jersey's being retired. He's being retired from Buffalo Sabres.
Wow.
So I'm going there after I get back from Dallas the last trip. So I mean, it's one of those things. He invited me, and it's like, you know what? When kids invite you to do stuff, you go do it. It's just the way it is. They're like family, and it's kind of nice to see. So I mean, I keep in touch with 90% of them. Facebook's a great way to do it.
It is.
There's a lot of them still text me and things like that.
It's kind of hard for me to follow the kids from the past. I'll use Joey Johnson, for example. Joey Johnson was a defenseman that was probably the same size as you, but more of your wife's stature. So really frail guy. Kid had a heart of gold and just had a no give up attitude, right? So August 96, we decided to play the Seattle Thunderbirds for 2 games, the Western Hockey League club. And so whenever Patrick Marleau was on the ice, we put Joey out there. Joey came up to his shoulders, right? Patrick's this big goon, not a big goon, a big guy, right? Compared to Joey especially, but Joey stuck to him like glue. I think Joey followed him to the bathroom 3 times during the 2 games. Just was on him the whole time. And afterwards, during the games, Patrick hated this kid, right? What are you doing? You're making a fool out of yourself. No, you're not. I'm balancing you out the whole time, right? And it was an unusual hockey move for us to pull that off. Now Joey builds motorcycles in West Virginia. He's got a big old gray beard. And there's so many of my former kids that are now graylings. And they got more gray hair than I do because I shave every day. It's a trick. So it's just amazing to see how these kids have got kids of their own. Kids are growing up, about to be grandparents. And it's kind of touching that the game has kept us close all this time. And really, Facebook has helped that, but I think hockey is just different than other sports.
It is. I mean, we can say it's different, but there's other sports that do this too. You see some of the football players that even in high school and stuff like that. I get guys that play football together and stuff. I didn't play football, but I was too busy doing travel hockey, driving back and forth.
Your dad driving you back and forth.
Oh yeah. I didn't see him here. I thought he was going to be here. But anyways, they keep close and stuff, so we're fine with that. My big thing is like with hockey is it is a true sport, and the gentlemen of the game really show themselves.
Absolutely. You don't stick around for 40 years doing this if you do something wrong, right? So the sport has a really good way of getting rid of the trash and taking it out, and that's what makes a lot of sense. Well, John, thanks for having us today. Breakfast was fantastic. Your wife was awesome. The cooks did really good. Tommy, what did you think? Did you like your breakfast? Peggy's Diner, Edgewater, Florida. If you're in Florida for a vacation, whatever reason, come over here and and ask for the Bowkus discount. They'll charge you double. That's it for today, folks. We'll see you. I think we're doing a show tomorrow because of World Juniors, right? With Eric Ballard, maybe tomorrow. Do a quick 15-minute show to run down the scores from today. But until then,